fracking long. Whenever fracking's threatened, we'll sing our fracking song. And if you fracking bankers can't see there's something wrong, you think you're very clever, but you won't be fracking long. If you have some money you're wanting to invest, don't put it into fracking, that leaves the world a mess. There's sun and wind and water and the power of the human race, and every green investor makes the world a safer place. You won't be fracking long, you won't be fracking long. Whenever fracking's threatened, we'll sing our fracking song. And if you fracking bankers can't see there's something wrong, you think you're very clever, but you won't be fracking long.
By the injunction that said they couldn't impact the supply chain. So that's okay. Don't go to the supply chain. Go straight to the heart of the matter. So here's what happened just now in the last hour. Breaking, there are 5 grandparents logged on inside the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial. Yeah! They're demanding that Greg Clark reject Quadrilla's fracking application. And leave a safe earth for those who will follow us. When the government doesn't listen to its citizens, you have to deliver the message direct. Grandparents for a safe future and safe earth, kicking Break the Chain 2018 style. We said no! 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 We said no!
Call for calm, and what another wonderful, wacky, amazing, uplifting event that was today. And just want to say, before I say anything else, what an amazing, generous, bold, brave, courageous bunch you and we all are every week. So well done. This is Natalie's 5th time visiting us at Preston New Road. Just before I pass over to Natalie, I just wanted to say a few words. We were at a meeting last night in Lancaster, a Green Party meeting, and it was about looking at other forms of protest other than electoral politics. Obviously, as Green Party members, we concentrate very much on getting elected, but I think we all recognise that there has to be other methods, and we have to work as creatively as possible when things get really tough, and it's absolutely clear that going through our democratic process isn't working. So we had a discussion with a speaker, and the 3 things I took from the meeting yesterday about campaigning and direct action was, firstly, you have to have a very clear ask and a very clear demand, and this campaign has that. We're absolutely clear, we know what we're asking for. Stop this industry. We don't want fracking. But what we do want is renewable energy. So it's not just that we're saying no to something, we're saying very clearly there is an alternative. Renewables can and will provide us with the energy that we need in the future. Yes. And I think there's another demand that's come along as we've gone along as a campaign, and that is that we actually need a radical redistribution of resources. And that's not just about energy resources, it's about financial resources, and it's about power, individual power. And why is it that we've got in our society...
That's better.
That's better. Why is it that we've ended up with so much accumulating at the top of society and so little at the bottom? And that's not just in terms of financial resources, because what we know now is that actually more and more they're taking the power away from us, and we have to fight at an individual and community level to keep our power over the processes that are going on in terms of planning and allocation of resources. So I think we've got a very clear demand. We want radical redistribution of resources. So that was the first thing. What are our demands in this campaign? Secondly, it's about, you have to recognise in any campaign that there's sacrifice. And I think you here all know so well what that sacrifice involves, and well done for making it. And the first thing we sacrifice when we get involved in this campaign is peace of mind, because we worry day in, day out about our future and what this industry is doing to us. There are so many other sacrifices. You're all giving up your time, you're giving up money, you're giving up earning capacity, and to all those people who shout along here, get a job, so many of us have given up other forms of income to be here and to protect the planet and our future. So well done for the sacrifice you're making. And the third point that was made yesterday at the meeting about what can you expect when you are involved in a campaign is that there are a range of tactics. And I think our tactics here have worked very well. But I know that there's a discussion, shall we say, with other people who are involved in trying to stop this industry about what works best. And I think it's really clear that there are all sorts of things and actions and ways that people can be involved, and there's no blueprint as yet. There's no manual on how to stop a fracking industry. So if some people think that they want to do certain things and try it, that's fine. And we're doing our bit here, and all of us can do other things as well. And I just think it's really important that we hold that and we recognise that we're all working together, and that we don't criticise other people, and that they remember not to criticise the actions that we're taking here. Because no one has the right answer, and by working together we will get there. But I just want to say, this tactic, led by all of you, of being in front of this horrific industry gate, day in, day out, week in, week out, has definitely had an effect. So this industry is behind its own schedule, no matter what it says. It's years behind schedule, and that's because you've all been here. It's having to borrow money or whatever dodgy deal it's doing with British Gas via Centrica, and an odd 10 million flowing here and there onto their balance sheet, because they're actually starved of money, and they've not made a penny, and it's a whole Ponzi scheme so far that they are suffering financially, and that's because you have all been here. So your tactics are working, keep on coming, we'll fight the challenges, and I just want to say well done everybody. There's such a tremendous sense of community, and I'm very, very proud to be part of all of you. Thanks very much. So over to Natalie, who's come over from Sheffield via Lancaster.
Well, hello Preston New Road! It's lovely to be back on my 5th visit. I know this is nothing compared to lots of people here, but one of the great things I found today is talking to quite a few people who are here for the first time ever. So if you're not feeling too shy, if you're here for the first time ever, put your hand up and let's give those first timers a cheer. Now I think you first timers and me the reason why I'm here today specifically is many people will know it's Green Week. And so people in the Green Party collectively, we got together and decided who would come each day. And you know what? I think I won the lottery for coming here today. That's partly, of course, White Wednesday is absolutely wonderful and enormous fun. And nobody comments on my singing, which is very kind of you. But it's also because of what is happening elsewhere around the country today. Now, you might have heard down in Westminster, at the Department of Business and Energy, there are grandparents locked on in the department. And what they're demonstrating is that this whole campaign, like every campaign, is, to use a metaphor that works quite well today, a dance. We take a step forward, find a way to make something happen, to stop something happening. The other side react. We then find a new tactic. So, this is something coming from Sheffield. You've probably heard about Sheffield trees.
Yes.
We know quite a bit about injunctions. In fact, last week, the council tried to jail 4 protesters under the injunction. Now, people have found ways to fight on, and as in Sheffield here, I think we have to look at this injunction and see that what we have is a sign of absolute desperation from the industry. They have no public consent. They are flailing around desperately, and the thing is, I'm confident 2018 is the year they are going to lose. We will stop for good fracking in 2018. And we were talking about public consent. So many people tooting their support going past. And I always like firsts in politics because I've been doing a lot of politics in the past few years, but I've never been got a tooter support from an ice cream van before. That's because, exactly, Mr. Whippy all round. Maybe we can find a place for him to stop. We can work it out. That'd be good.
We did that last year.
Exactly. So, one of the things that illustrates, and what particularly Wednesday here does beautifully, is we need to make sure that this is fun and rewarding. And so, on that grounds, I want to give a special thanks to someone who's not here today, but who baked all of the quiches and the food over there. Because the fact is, everyone can contribute to this. And I only found out today, and we need to tell more people about it, if you knit or crochet, there's an action coming up you can contribute to. Ask one of the people here, they can tell you more. So this is something that everyone can and should contribute to. I've got a saying that politics should be something you do, not have done to you. And I was saying to the people, particularly here for the first time today, that's what we're doing. But what we also have to do, we've got a huge fight on fracking. But as Gina said, it's only part of a much bigger struggle. Now again, on Saturday down in London, there was a march for the oceans. It wasn't particularly big. It was about 150, mostly women. And I asked them to put their hand up if it was the first time at a march. And about 80% of them put their hand up for their first ever march. And what this shows is, you think about plastics. And, great as it was, it's not all or even mostly about Blue Planet 2. Yes, thank you, David Attenborough, it was nice. But there was all the years of work before that went in, all the people who built up the story. And what we've got to do is build up with fracking, and we've got to link up with the plastics people. Because, of course, fracking and plastics, they're part of the same story. The same chemicals, the same trashing the planet. So, never work with children and animals, they say. It's always a challenge. So, we've got to join all these campaigns up, and we can, and people are getting it. There's a study being done over many decades where people have been asked, do you think your kids and grandkids will have a better life than you've had? And it's increasingly massively negative. So people get in their gut, even if they haven't thought it through in their head, that we've got to change. And as Gina said, one of the things we've got to do is focus on the positives. Of course, someone was saying to me, I've been here often and the wind is always blowing here. I'm sure people can attest to that.
The sun's always shining when I come.
We haven't been here on the same day if you say the sun's always shining. Yeah, there's a reason why I got my boots on in case of mud. But there's so many better alternatives. Community-owned wind turbines, community-owned solar panels, and best of all, warm, comfortable, affordable to heat homes so people don't need any energy at all. They're just warm and comfortable. So these are stories we've got to tell people. We've got to make sure people understand that going green, the option that's good for the environment, is also good for them. Going green doesn't mean giving things up. It means gaining a better life for everybody. And it's not always easy, you know. The sun isn't always shining. It's just about managing it today. But what we have are people who are saying, we're going to do the politics, we're going to make the change and do things differently. As we're seeing with the elders down today in the Department of Business, people talking about their grandkids, people talking about the future of our wildlife and our animals, people talking about decent jobs. You know, fracking, one of the things they always say, oh, you know, we've got to have jobs. But how many more jobs there are in home insulation? How many more jobs in solar installation? How many more jobs if the government would ever finally say yes to the tidal power on Swansea Lagoon? There's so many more possibilities of a better life that we've got to get across. So I think one of the great things about Preston New Road is there's always the focus on the alternatives as well as saying no. And you know, I am absolutely confident that we're in a time of great change. Gina was talking about how the economics were in a time of change. We have had 40 years of neoliberal, neo-Thatcherite policies that have said greed is good, inequality doesn't matter, and we can keep trashing the planet. And that's clearly failed. And there's people recognising that in all sorts of different ways, and there's a couple of other people groups I want to pay some tribute to, one of which... Okay, stop for a second.
We said no! We said no!
We said no! We said no! We said no! We said no!
We said no!
Okay, this seems like a perfect time. Let's celebrate Tinker Lane where there's a lock on! And let's also mention next Tuesday, over in the same direction, over my way, Marsh Lane, there's a planning inquiry and we'll be out protesting at the start of that planning inquiry, so let's give a call to the protectors of Marsh Lane. And then, because it's all part of the same struggle, I don't know if you've heard about the Pont Valley protectors.
Yes.
This is 2018. We are talking about a new open-cut coal mine. And it's not just an open-cut coal mine, it's on a rare upland meadow environment. We have lost 99% of our meadows since the end of the Second World War. And I went up there with a local guy who's the son and grandson and great-son of gamekeepers, but he's turned into a protector now. And so he showed me the detail of the wonderful natural environment that they want to put an open-cut coal mine in. So I think we can send a particularly loud cheer to the Pont Valley protectors. So we've got so many different things to do, so many battles to fight, but we're all joining this up together, and that's the crucial thing, I think. And we're all finding new ways to react. And what we know is that it's often quite tough. And the day you lose a court case, and you know, Hart Hill, I was at the planning inquiry about traffic this road's busy, but these are incredibly quiet backcountry roads. And somehow they've said, the planning inspector said, oh, it's all right, we'll just have places where traffic can pull off so they can pass each other, and this is all going to work perfectly. Well, I have a funny feeling that some local people might just take their horses out to go for a ride. And it might be those are quite ill horses, or perhaps recuperating, or old horses. And maybe they won't be able to go very fast. Three-legged donkey, great suggestion from down the front. So whatever they throw at us, we are going to find answers. There is always a way, and we will find those ways, because we're wonderful, creative people. Many of us have lots of experience in protests. Some of us on our first protest will go, well, why don't we do that? And the others will go, oh yeah. So sometimes it feels like it's a thankless task. It's really tough when you lose, but you haven't lost. You've just seen one setback and you find the next solution. And that's really crucial to think about it, because I've seen this again and again with Sheffield trees. And I was telling the story about how the police had arrested people who were with permission on private property under anti-trade union laws. But the next day or so, someone had a really bright idea, which was the next tree they went to try and cut down. Someone had been employed to paint the gate of the house that would have had to have been in the protection zone. And so the police were told, oh, but you can't stop a worker who's painting the gate, can you? How do you judge between Amy, who wants to cut down the tree, and the worker who's painting the gate? Maybe he's proceeding and painting the gate very, very slowly, but he is working at painting the gate. And so the police stood there for a while, scratched their heads, and went away again. So my lesson from that is, there is always a way. And the fact is, as the toots, as the gestures of support show, there is only 11% support among the public for fracking. That is very nearly nothing. People, the more they've learnt, the more they've known, the more they've seen, the people like you, their friends, their neighbours, their colleagues out protesting, they've said, we know this is wrong. We know we don't want this. And so I'm absolutely confident that we are going to win. This is Green Week. Reclaim the Power is coming. There's a huge amount going on. Come when you can here. Please come over to Tinker Lane if you're able to do that. Please get up to Pont Valley if you can. Let's all join together. That's what we need to do. We can and we must build a better world together. We're going to do it. Let's say, stop fracking! Stop fracking! Stop fracking! Stop fracking! Stop fracking! Stop fracking!
So Natalie Bennett, thanks for joining us. This is your 5th time that you've been here, and you've just got back from PNR. You spent all morning and afternoon down there. Tell us how it was.
Well, this was day 3 of Green Week, and I've had a lovely time. Of course, it being Wednesday, it was White Wednesday, so we had the 15-minute silence, the dance and the singing, and has a lovely feel as it has. I think this is the 3rd Wednesday I happen to have been here, so it was lovely. But also we were greatly buoyed by the news that came up from London, which was the news that 5 grandparents had locked on in the Department of Business and Energy with a no fracking message. And this, of course, at the same time as over in Tinker Lane, they had lock-ons over there. So I think there was a real feeling like today was a day when there was activity around the country, lots of things happening. The stop fracking message, no fracking here, no fracking anywhere message was really getting through. And I think the general mood was great, and we were very well fed, which always helps.